In the dark, icy waters of the Arctic lives an animal that looks almost mythical, the narwhal. For centuries, its long spiral tusk inspired stories of unicorns, sea monsters, and impossible creatures hiding at the edge of the known world. But the narwhal is not a legend. It is a real species of toothed whale, scientifically known as Monodon monoceros, and it is one of the most specialized mammals on Earth. Unlike whales that roam warm oceans or migrate across open seas, narwhals are built for a world of ice, silence, pressure, and seasonal darkness. They spend their lives in the Arctic waters around Canada, Greenland, and Russia, moving through shifting sea ice and diving into extreme depths. Their famous tusk is only the beginning of the story. To understand the narwhal, we have to look beyond the strange appearance and into the environment that shaped it. A narwhal's body is compact, powerful, and practical. It does not have the tall dorsal fin that many whales use in open water. Instead, it has a shallow ridge along its back. That may seem like a missing feature, but in the Arctic it is an advantage. A tall fin could scrape against sea ice or make it harder to move beneath frozen surfaces. The narwhal's rounded body, blunt snout, and large melon help it navigate cold, dark water where visibility can be poor. Its neck vertebrae are more jointed than those of many other whales, giving it extra flexibility when maneuvering under ice or around prey. Even its muscles are adapted for endurance, helping it move efficiently rather than explosively. Everything about the narwhal suggests a creature designed not for speed or spectacle, but for survival in one of the planet's harshest habitats. The most famous feature of the narwhal is the tusk, usually seen in males. It is not a horn, even though it looks like one. It is actually an enlarged left canine tooth that grows forward through the upper lip and can reach around 1.5 to 3 meters in length. The tusk forms a long spiral, giving it the unmistakable look that made narwhals so valuable in medieval imagination and trade. For a long time, people debated what the tusk was for. Was it a weapon? A symbol of status? A tool for finding food? A sensory organ? The answer may be more than one thing. Males may use tusks in competition, display, or social ranking. The tusk is also packed with nerve endings, which suggests it may detect changes in the water, such as salinity. Rather than being ornamental, it may be a multifunctional survival tool. Narwhals belong to a small and unusual family of whales called Monodontidae. Their closest living relative is the beluga whale, another Arctic species with a rounded head and no tall dorsal fin. The two species are similar enough that their ranges overlap, and they have even been known to interbreed. This connection helps explain why narwhals look so different from the whales most people imagine. They are not giant filter-feeding whales like blue whales or humpbacks. They are toothed whales, related more closely to animals that hunt individual prey. But unlike dolphins or orcas, narwhals evolved around sea ice, deep Arctic channels, and long seasonal cycles. Their biology is a kind of frozen world blueprint. Belugas are sometimes called sea canaries because of their vocal sounds. Narwhals are quieter in popular culture, but they too communicate with clicks, whistles, and knocks beneath the ice. Every year, narwhals follow a seasonal rhythm that is closely tied to sea ice. In summer, they move toward ice-free coastal and shallow water areas, often returning to the same places year after year. These summering grounds are important for social behavior, resting, and possibly raising young. During this time, narwhals can gather in much larger groups than usual, with summer aggregations sometimes reaching hundreds or even around 1,000 animals. But for much of the year, they live in smaller groups, often between 3 and 8 individuals. As conditions change, they move offshore again, spending time near pack ice. This migration is not random wandering. It is a precise response to food, ice cover, breeding cycles, and inherited routes. The narwhal's life depends on knowing when to move, where ice will open, and how to survive in a landscape that is constantly shifting. Narwhals are among the deepest diving cetaceans known. They can descend to depths of up to about 2,370 meters, or 7,780 feet. At that depth, sunlight has disappeared, the pressure is crushing, and the water is near freezing. For a mammal that must breathe air, this is an extraordinary challenge. Before diving, a narwhal must store oxygen efficiently in its blood and muscles. During the dive, its body has to conserve that oxygen and direct it toward the organs that need it most. These dives are not just dramatic feats, they are part of how narwhals make a living. Their prey often lives deep below the surface, especially during parts of the year when food is concentrated offshore. A narwhal may look calm from above, but below the ice it is performing one of the most extreme hunting routines in the whale world. The narwhal's diet is focused and Arctic-specific. It feeds on animals such as polar cod, Arctic cod, Greenland halibut, cuttlefish, shrimp, and armhook squid. These prey species are not random menu items, they reflect the food web of cold northern seas. Greenland halibut, for example, can live in deep waters, which helps explain why narwhals dive so far. The narwhal does not need large teeth for chewing because it can capture and swallow prey more directly. Some researchers have suggested the tusk might play a role in feeding behavior, but the exact details are still being studied. What is clear is that narwhals are not casual surface feeders. They rely on access to productive Arctic ecosystems, from shallow summer habitats to deep winter feeding grounds. If those ecosystems shift, the narwhal's entire survival strategy can be affected. Communication is essential in a world where visibility is limited and animals may be separated by ice, darkness, or depth. Narwhals use a variety of sounds, including clicks, whistles, and knocking noises. Clicks can help with echolocation, allowing the whale to sense its surroundings and locate prey in dark water. Whistles and other calls may help maintain contact with group members. Undersea ice, sound can travel in complex ways, bouncing, muffling, and carrying through water channels. For narwhals, vocal communication is not just social chatter. It is navigation, coordination, and survival. A group moving beneath ice needs to keep track of openings where they can breathe. They also need to respond to threats, prey movements, and other whales. Their sound world is hidden from us, but for them it is as real and important as vision is for humans. Narwhal reproduction follows the slow pace typical of many large marine mammals. Mating occurs among offshore pack ice, generally from March to May. Calves are born more than a year later, between July and August of the following year. That long reproductive cycle means populations cannot quickly replace losses. A young narwhal enters a demanding environment from the start. It must learn to breathe at the surface, stay close to its mother, and eventually follow migration routes through freezing waters. Summer birth timing is important because conditions are less severe and coastal areas may offer better opportunities for mothers and calves. But the Arctic still leaves little room for error. Slow reproduction also matters for conservation. Even if the current global population is estimated at around 170,000 animals, narwhals remain vulnerable because recovery from major disruption could take a long time. Humans have known narwhals for thousands of years, especially Inuit communities in northern Canada and Greenland. Narwhals have been hunted for meat and ivory, and regulated subsistence hunting continues today. This history is important because it is not the same as industrial exploitation from outside the Arctic. For indigenous communities, narwhals have long been part of food systems, culture, and survival in remote regions where imported foods can be expensive and limited. At the same time, modern conservation has to consider population health, hunting levels, climate stress, and changing access to Arctic waters. The narwhal's tusk made it famous far beyond its habitat, but for people living in the Arctic, the animal is not merely a curiosity. It is part of a living relationship between humans, animals, ice, and seasonal survival. Today, the narwhal is listed as a species of least concern by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. That may sound reassuring, but it does not mean the animal is free from danger. The Arctic is changing faster than many other parts of the planet. Sea ice is shrinking, seasonal patterns are becoming less predictable, and human activity is expanding into areas that were once protected by ice. Narwhals depend on ice-associated habitats, so a reduction in ice cover can alter migration routes, feeding access, predator exposure, and human disturbance. Pollution is another concern, especially because contaminants can accumulate in Arctic food webs. Increased shipping, noise, and development may also affect whales that rely on sound to navigate and communicate. The narwhal's future is not defined by one single threat, but by the combined pressure of a changing Arctic. The narwhal is often introduced as the unicorn of the sea, but that nickname can make it seem like a novelty instead of a remarkable survivor. Its tusk is fascinating, but so are its deep dives, its ice-adapted body, its seasonal migrations, and its place in Arctic ecosystems. The narwhal shows how evolution shapes animals for specific worlds. Remove or rapidly change that world, and even a highly adapted species can face serious challenges. In a stable Arctic, the narwhal's strange traits make perfect sense: no tall fin to catch on ice, powerful diving ability to reach deep prey, social sounds to travel through dark water, and a tusk that may carry information, status, and function all at once. The real wonder is not that narwhals look mythical. It is that they are real, and that their survival depends on an Arctic we are only beginning to understand. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.